how does the Arts and Cultural District fit into the city's arts and cultural plan? And it was kind of an aha moment for us because we didn't have an arts and cultural plan. We didn't have a direction that everybody knew where we were going and how we were going to get there. And with that question, we sort of backed away from the idea of a tactic or a technique like an arts and cultural district and started to consider the question of what is the role of arts and culture in the city and how can it make the city a better place to live, work, and do business. We say things like that in our comprehensive plan, but we never really have specific steps to get us there. So the purpose of doing an arts and cultural plan is to figure out if we can get all the players pulling in the same direction, choosing the direction and the techniques to make Roanoke a much more livable place where arts and culture is a big factor in prosperity and the economy of the city. We are doing this process, the project, through the Roanoke Arts Commission. They are our steering committee. And our consultants in this planning process are you, the people here in the community with the ideas about how arts and culture should fit into the community's future and who will have the ideas about how to get us there.
The purpose of tonight is to ask you to respond to this question. And the question basically takes the vision statement that has been developed, that is, we envision ourselves as a community, a vibrant and prosperous community where innovation in arts and culture engages people in all aspects of life, etc. We're taking that vision and turning it into a question and asking you if we're asking you to respond to this in three ways. We're going to ask you, what is it that we as a community need to start doing that we're not doing if we want to realize this vision? What is it that we as a community should stop doing if we are to realize this vision? And what is it that we as a community should continue to do if we are to realize the vision?
We're trying to help you be as successful as you can. Display that.
We do. I know where I work previously.
This is a great suggestion, the very first one that we had, a central clearinghouse of events. You know, part of the thing is, you know, we don't know what's going on. But if there was one central, you know, that all the organizations went to and said, here's our event, here's when it is, and that the public got used to going to one place and they could virtually find everything that's going on, I thought it was a great idea. Open access by providing free public transportation to arts and science and cultural events. We've got these downtown trolleys that could be brought in and used to pick people up on a Saturday or a Sunday from the outskirts of the city that could bring them down into the city. That'd be a great idea. Free access to museums for residents was one of the suggestions. A 1% surcharge to new construction to support public art. We saw what it did for our public schools. 2 years at 2%, a couple cents a dollar, has done wonders for our school system and helping them get through the rough times. Start subgroups to study planned activities with other cities. Certainly there are other cities that are looking at the same things that we're doing. We're ahead of some of them, we're behind some of them. But to think outside the box and go to other cities and say, what are you doing? What's working for you? Right here in Roanoke, we could have a 4-year art school or a 2-year art school. We could have a campus. It could include a larger library. But if you want to create a real true engine with a broad range of people collectively coming to it, from adult education to college kids, potentially a campus that kids actually lived here. We're in downtown Roanoke, all connected to elementary schools, certainly connected to the Taubman Museum and the other arts organizations, but education in terms of schooling at a high level, the collaboration with Virginia Tech, the collaborations with schools like Hollins, right here in downtown Roanoke is a very real possibility. More meetings like this, in the neighborhoods. And one of the things that was brought up is we see the same faces. And we need to broaden our range. We need to get many more African Americans involved. We do need to broaden our range beyond the same faces of people that we see.
It seems like it'd be easier to think of what to start than it is what to stop, because I think Roanoke is starting in the right direction. This is a start, so I'm glad to be part of it. First off, we noticed that paying outsiders and we ask the locals to volunteer for major events and festivals. That's been a beef for a very long time here. Stop hindering street performances. There have been instances where people have been on the street and they're either arrested or they have other obstacles. We need to stop thinking of ourselves as being Roanoke City and start thinking regionally and globally as our youth have. You know, they don't see that many boundaries, so I think it would be very important to recognize that any achievements our individuals here have as artists are recognized outside of our city, and that's our best chance for growing the arts. Stop funding redundant organizations. So often if there's a duplication of similar services, it makes people compete for the same dollars, which is adversarial. So it would discourage collaboration. While providing a base for sustained economic growth and development, that's putting a lot on the shoulders of artists.
Exactly.
Because, you want to nurture that seed and see where it goes. You don't want to direct or define what the artist is doing, and if you have that as the underlying purpose, the bean counters are never going to, you know, it just won't match. The seat tax, is that still in existence? Where if somebody donates a theater seat to a nonprofit, they still have to pay the seat tax for it. That's putting an obstacle of providing the arts to the underprivileged and the poor in our community. And the more we open it up to them, I think the more it will heal our community. Stop cutting the arts programs in the schools. So if we're going to, you know, support the arts as a community, you know, I have parents all the time coming to me asking, you know, they're cutting back on the art programs in the schools, so having a policy or funding the schools in that area is very important. Stop accepting low numbers of minority responses. Let's go out into those communities and find those people and pull them in, because a lot of times they might be thinking that we're just not interested in getting their thing. And also being accepting of the diversity of art, and maybe we want to have a diversity of culture in the area. So supporting, I think cross-supporting the arts and collaborative events would help.
First thing, we really thought we needed to continue to reach out with a lot of free art events. Some of the things like the Sidewalk Art Sale is a wonderful free public event that everybody can go to. Want to focus on all ages, both young, old, teen, like my age, I guess, everywhere in between. I think one of the biggest things to grow, and if we're going to sustain a long-term commitment to the arts, is to harness the teens and the youth that are right here and really give them avenues for which they can expand their creative aspirations. Such things like the community high school is such an imperative part of the downtown, our community. I think City of Roanoke, with what they're trying to do, is fill the gap with Mill Mountain not being there for the children's theater. Is something that I myself was personally fond of, and received great benefits from being involved with Mill Mountain as a young lad. I think one of the great things that we've talked about was downtown murals. We have wonderful old murals, but we haven't had any real new community-inspired murals downtown, and there's a few hiccups of efforts along the way, but I think a big community effort would be something we could all embrace. I think they hit on it a little bit, but the hindering of street performance, they provide a very vibrant way to engage the public and tourists as they come into the downtown environment, and by supporting just the space for some street performers to come in and do things would be certainly a benefit for all the people downtown that come in. Again, we hit on the library and continue to partner with the library through the Emerging Artist Series, music programs, and intellectual programs. I think one of the things we need to continue to do is to focus on the different media that we have available here. And the newspapers, obviously one of the biggest one, Facebook, social media in general has been a good way for people to actually see and experience the art, as opposed to just seeing a listing. They can actually see the art before they go to this show. I think one of the things also is to continue threading art throughout the community, and we hit on this a minute ago, but in the hospitals, in the nursing homes, find ways to engage the elders that can't always go out to the museums and can't go to the galleries. Take it to them and make art sort of a live performance that can travel and move beyond the boundaries of an art gallery or a museum. The plan for what we should do should be centered not around having a set end line or finish line, but really give us flexibility to grow as a culture and not hammer us down to say this is what we're going to be 5-10 years from now after we do this plan. It's really to establish an environment in which the creations of the artists and the people in the community can be nurtured and grow. And it's not to say this is where we want it to go and this is exactly how it's going to finish up. So we want to maintain flexibility in the plan, and that way we can think long term and not just a couple years down the road. We need to continue to find ways to support the entrepreneurs, whether for-profit or non-profit. We need to find people that are out there willing to put their feet down and start running and come up with new ideas. And too often in this part of the state, we isolate ourselves to Roanoke, to Blacksburg, to New River Valley, Salem, whatever it may be. And the regional aspect of it has really got to hit home with everybody. And Roanoke can be a hub for the region. But we need to think regionally and think Southwest Virginia and try and brand Roanoke as the hub of the arts in Southwest Virginia and not Roanoke art. I think that's
This is the wrap-up. What we're going to do is ask you to leave your individual sheets, and we'll collect them. So if you just leave them on the tables, we'll collect those. We'll compile a complete listing of the individual start, stop, and continue. And we'll take these sheets and we'll compile, we'll do a listing of everything that you saw here tonight. That information will be sent to Susan at the Arts Commission, and then I guess, is it posted?
Yeah, on the city's
Then
website.
it'll be
Yeah,
posted.
Facebook page,